there was a tweet that was going around from Discussing Film over the weekend that talked about another Glen Powell quote. And what I said was, this dude, as far as saying the right thing goes, Glen Powell is batting 1,000 and picking the projects to match. He says, do you want to read this here? It's really good.
Yeah, it's almost sociopathic how well Glen Powell can like read the desires of the audience. But here he says, he wants to build trust with the audience that I'm going to work my butt off to make sure they're entertained. When they show up and pay their $15 for a ticket, they'll at least be able to say, I know that this dude is going to try to deliver quality. He's going to summon every bit of himself to try to deliver quality.
Look, it's sad.
And they're all saying, this is Tom Cruise's successor, like reincarnated Tom Cruise before Tom Cruise is dead.
The people who are trying to hate on this were saying that he's wrong because movies don't cost $15 anymore.
They're like, oh, you think it costs $15?
That's
cute. And it's like, no, I bought a movie ticket the other day and it was, okay, maybe not 15, it was 16.
Was it 16?
$16, okay? So he knows it's not like Jeff Bezos guessing the price of Cheerios. It's not the same thing. And regardless of whether he was right on the numbers, his sentiment is in the right place.
He really does seem to have either a fantastic publicist who's picking all of the right interviews for him to do, and he's extremely well media trained in a way that doesn't give off pompous actor vibes.
Yeah, he also, I think in the same interview, talked about how Denzel Washington was a huge part of his move to LA initially, and he left somewhat recently for Texas because he has more leverage to just travel to work instead of living there.
It's funny because if I remember correctly, and we talked about it on Friday, Denzel Washington was instrumental in Chadwick Boseman's career as well. Like, he paid for him to go to Europe to study acting.
Really?
Yeah.
I think that came up on the show on Friday. Yeah.
I can't say enough about this guy. Like, I make the joke every time something about Glen Powell comes up that I'm about to start my Glen Powell Stan account. But
no, you already have a Glen Powell Stan account. You're just not telling anyone.
But the point is that don't treat actors as if they're people that you know, where you care about their opinions personally, but support the ideas that you agree with and push back on the ideas that you don't. And when it comes to Glen Powell, he consistently gives interviews that prove that he understands that for him to do his job well, to make sure that there's gains for everyone involved, he needs to pick the right projects. He needs to focus on entertainment rather than messaging. And he understands that audiences don't want to be preached to. And it sounds like that as a concept should be fairly straightforward and common sense. But we learn every day that that is not the way that most actors see things. And at the very least, what you can use it as a gauge for is that, look, not everybody is terminally online. Not everybody is sitting here reading what every actor says. Obviously, that makes sense. But sentiment spreads wide pretty quickly. So if he says something that resonates with an audience and people like us go and then elevate that message by saying, hey, this is good, it finds its way back to the general public who is already more enamored with somebody who's picking projects that consistently seem like they have a good return on investment. Meaning that he made a crappy rom-com that still made a bunch of money and people found endearing despite the fact that Sydney Sweeney doesn't know how to act.
Right.
Okay. Twisters was a film that, despite the fact that it was playing off of a franchise, or not a franchise, an IP that was pretty, cult classic and beloved, still did well with audiences. And it changed the initial premise. And then he was part of, obviously, Top Gun Maverick, which was an extremely successful continuation.
We got a 20 from Pop Culture Junkie. The Hollywood sequel budget bloat has to do with another issue you both have discussed, being risk averse to make new films from scripts not based on existing IP.
Yeah, they don't want to do that. They do not want to risk the money on things that don't have some type of established property with it. It's stupid, but that's the way it is. I cannot say enough about it. And I do think that in a lot of ways, if you guys saw this clip, there was this clip that went viral when they were at the Twisters premiere, where everyone's posing for a photo with their Twisters popcorn buckets.
Oh, yeah.
And Glenn was holding it down and Tom's like, pick it up, put Put it in the shot.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, say what you want about Scientology. Tom Cruise is exactly the type of person you want to take advice from when it comes to making movies that are entertaining for audiences.
A branding expert.
He is in a lot of ways. Like we were talking about it last week. It's like I can go back and watch just about any Tom Cruise movie and know that I'm going to enjoy what I'm going to watch, whether it's the first time I've seen it or if it's something I haven't seen before.
Now, maybe when he makes those little thank you video messages that play before the movie, I don't exactly buy that he's being sincere.
But he was the first one to do it.
But I don't care. Yeah. And yes, he also started a trend, which is exactly what you're talking about. It's kind of circulates in the Hollywood ecosystem that you should at least try to seem grateful.
When Seth Rogen did it, I knew that it had jumped the shark. Like there's nobody less grateful for their fans than Seth Rogen. Okay.
Yeah, or just less capable of seeming authentic. Period.
But the point is that Glenn seems to have found a way to master that seeming feel of authenticity. Whether it's the move back to Texas, he's like, hey, look, I don't like these California people either.
I'm like an Austin cowboy.
Yeah, right. So and look, it's paying off for him in the long run because look at this. This was going around this weekend. Twister's box office sees shocking domestic rebound 6 weeks after its release. Also fair to point out, it is now also available for pay VOD. And it's still doing well at the box office. It says, as per Collider, Twisters has now seen a box office comeback more than a month after the film's initial release. This past weekend, Twisters saw a 17% increase in its domestic box office from the previous weekend. Despite playing in 201 fewer theaters than previously in its run, the movie took in $7.16 million at the domestic box office this past weekend. Also, Kellen messaged me and said, you have to go see it in 4DX.
He did?
He said he saw it in 4DX.
No, he's lying.
He said it's crazy.
He did that?
He said there's no other way you have to see it.
Did they do rainfall in the theater?
It's just like shaking around and stuff like that.
Well, especially because some of the scenes were in movie theaters.
And here's the thing.
Yeah. We got a 20 real quick from Redeem the Nation. Twisters may have done well in the box office, but it wasn't great standalone. Glen Powell made it watchable.
Then the point is that every time he makes a movie, as long as he is the standout performer in that film, and it feels like the film is made in good faith, he'll be all right.
Yeah, he's a guaranteed success.
Yeah. And that's not his. He made a movie called Hitman this year that I really, really liked.
You know what you should do? You should watch Scream Queens.
The show?
And become familiar with his character, Chad. What was it? Chad Radwell?
I've never seen.
I think you would love it.
Honestly, Chad Radwell is like.
I think it was Chad Radwell.
If his name is Chad Radwell, it's the greatest name I've ever heard for a character.
Yes, it's Chad Radwell from
incredible.
Scream Queens. And that was like, I didn't even know that he was in that. But
Scream Queens was out.
Wait, I recognize him.
Scream Queens was out at the same time when the Scream television show was on the air, and I didn't have the bandwidth to do both.
Yeah.
I just watched Scream the TV
Too confusing.
series. Yeah.
You'll appreciate it because you're a Glen Powell stan.
Look, I encourage everyone to see Twisters and watch Hitman on Netflix. It was a lot of fun. I can't now because I just deleted my Netflix.
Actually funny how well Twisters is doing while no one is talking about Daisy Edgar Jones. Like, no one gives a shit who this woman is, and she starred in the movie. She was literally the protagonist of the movie.
Because, charisma will out.
He won. He was the Ken of Twisters.
Yep.
Like,
he's just Glenn.
He's just Glenn.
Even that. He just did that the other day. Okay, so here's another one, guys. So just the other day, we talked about it on Friday, where they were comparing him to Ryan Gosling. And he sidestepped that controversy
He's like, Gosling is a legend. Yeah. I'm just Glenn.
It's like, who's writing this guy's press releases? They deserve a 10% raise at least.
He's a genius.
He's a genius. So again, don't look at actors as people. Look at them as purveyors of messages that you want to either see or not see. And if somebody is portraying a message or running their career in a way that you think is positive for the industry, then that is what you should encourage. And I think that's exactly what he's doing right now.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.